a little town near Utica that's around 3 hours north of here. I moved there when I was 4 years old and have lived there ever since. Growing up, my dad had season tickets to the Utica College men's hockey games every year because he sponsored the team. So we would go to almost every game they had. Now, downtown Utica is not the nicest place, and my parents would always make sure my sisters and I knew that. Even though we don't live downtown, growing up, my dad would always tell me, find a job that you love and worry about the money later. Get out of central New York and do something you love, and everything else will work itself out. That kind of sparked my desire to go away to prep school. I saw it as the first step to getting out of central New York to somewhere better. This is my mom's senior year of her high school at Taft. That's her right there, in that nice floral dress of hers, 1988. Time and time again, I hear about Christiane, who taught her basically everything she knows about lacrosse, and Liz, who's right there, her day student roommate, who she still talks to all the time to this day. She went there for 4 years and tells me all the time how she wishes that she could go back. So far, the reasons I have for going away are that Utica's not the nicest place, and my mom went to Taft. The more important and more obvious piece is hockey. Hockey has always been the big sport in my family. My mom played at Providence, and while my dad says he was quite the player in high school, he's more into watching it than playing. Nevertheless, I've known hockey all my life. When I was younger, my dad built us this rink in our backyard every winter. I think it drove him crazy sometimes, because there would either be too much snow or it wouldn't be cold enough. But on the days where the weather was just right, my sisters and I would spend all day out there. On school days and nights when I didn't have practice, our neighbors would come over and we would play pickup until it was too dark outside to see the puck. These are some of the best memories I have growing up. Ever since I started playing hockey, my dream has been to go to the Olympics. My favorite movie growing up was Miracle, and the Winter Olympics are basically a holiday in my household. This is me, circa 2008, with Olympic hockey player Kerry. My mom took me and my friend Abby to the Four Nations Cup in Lake Placid, and when I was looking through the program, I came across a player with the same exact name as me. As an 8-year-old, you can imagine how bummed I've been up to this point to never find my name on any keychain or magnet unless it was in an Irish store. So when I saw that an Olympic hockey player spelled her name like I do, I was so excited. All the players were in the lobby after beating Canada, and I took this picture. And ever since then, my lucky number has been 23, Kerry Weiland's jersey number. There weren't any options for girls to play hockey in New Hartford unless you played boys. I'm lucky enough to have parents that understood my desire to play girls hockey, and my mom started the CNY Bobcats, an all-girls hockey organization out of central New York. This team became my pride and joy. I played for this team from the time I got out of Learn to Skate up until I came to Millbrook, and I loved everything about it. We went to tournaments in Baltimore, Pennsylvania, Boston, Canada, Buffalo, Rochester, I mean, you name it, and we went there. We were successful at a lot of our tournaments during the season, but we always had one goal in mind, to win states. Unfortunately, that didn't happen for a long time. This picture was taken in 2013 after losing the state championship game. Devin, Claire, and I put on our fakest smiles for this picture. Because while everyone told us we should be proud that we came that close to winning, it really sucked to lose. So we put our game faces on. And while everyone had the sting of last season's loss in the back of their minds, pushing them through the season, I had a little extra push, prep school. Going away to prep school seemed like the first step to becoming an Olympian. So with the help of my parents, I put everything I had into that process. Visiting schools, going to tournaments where coaches would be there, writing essays that didn't feel good enough, and putting in the extra on and off ice work. I was pretty optimistic. I visited Williston, Taft, Berkshire, and Gunnery. I didn't end up applying to Gunnery, which now I realize was definitely the right decision. I felt good, and I felt like things were going to work out. In December, we went to the Polar Bear tournament held at Taft. I knew those coaches were going to be there, so of course I was nervous. We did not do very well, or well at all, really. We lost every game we played and went home early. Still, despite this, I thought I had a solid weekend of hockey. Well, those coaches disagreed. All three of them told my parents that I'm not good enough for them, and that I wouldn't make their varsity team until I was probably a junior, and by that point, my chances of playing college hockey were slim. This crushed me. At first, I thought it was over, that I wouldn't go to prep school, and I wouldn't play college hockey, and that this was as good as it gets. I mean, the application deadline had passed, so what school was going to want me at this point? My parents, thankfully, were not as pessimistic as me. They told me we were going to visit a school called Millbrook and see what happens. I was so reluctant to go because I was just so tired and exhausted by the whole prep school process, but I'm really glad that I went. During my interview, a short guy wearing a faded hat, an oversized fleece, and baggy khaki pants awkwardly knocked on the door and peeked his head in. He looked at me and said, "So you're Kerry?" At this point, I did not understand that Mr. Allen was probably the least intimidating person on the planet, so I was terrified he wouldn't like me and wouldn't want me to play for him. But he told me he was excited I was looking at Millbrook and to reach out with my hockey schedule and any questions that I had. With a little chuckle and an uncomfortable handshake, he walked out and I continued my interview with him in the back of my mind the entire time. So March rolled around and the state tournament was getting closer and closer. March 10th had come and gone, and I still hadn't received any word from Millbrook. Knowing Millbrook was my only option to go away at this point, I knew Mr. Allen would be at this tournament, and I knew I had to play my heart out to convince him to take me, and really to convince admissions to accept me. Thankfully, this tournament did not go like the one in December, and we came out state champions. It's really hard to see, but that's Jesse, and then Devin is right there. And to this day, all three of us still bask in the glory of beating West Seneca 3-0 at Bill Gray's Arena in Rochester when we were 13 years old. There's no shame in that. This was the best way I could imagine my CNY Bobcat career ending, and I was so excited to move on to the next chapter at Millbrook. My first year of Millbrook hockey did not go as well as I'd hoped. Coming from a Tier 2 team, playing with girls my age, and scoring 28 goals a season, prep hockey was a bit of a culture shock. I didn't score any goals that season, and I believe I only had 2 assists, and I constantly brought myself down because of that. But whenever I would get to the bench and shake my head or be mad at how I played, Mr. Allen saw right through me, and he would always tell me, "Hey, you work hard, and if you're putting in 110%, I don't care about the mistakes. We'll fix them later. Keep doing what you're doing." So that's what I did. I kept chugging along all season and was bummed when it came to an end because I felt like I could do better. So coming back for sophomore year, I was ready for hockey season. I got my braces off, I had a great cross-country season, my confidence was great. And I couldn't wait to show Mr. Allen all the work I put in over the summer. He told me I could play center and take some face-offs, which had me thrilled, because although I played wing freshman year, I love center, and to this day, it's still where I feel most comfortable. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to show him that. My heart broke when he passed away. He was the only coach who believed in me and gave me a shot, and I can't express how grateful I am that he did. To backtrack a little bit, when Mr. Allen came to watch me at States, we were playing against the Troy Albany Ice Cats. This is Jesse and me at the state tournament holding up our big tags that they gave us. We felt so official and we were ready to trample Troy. During the game, Devin was skating the puck into their zone and I was trailing behind her when their D poked the puck away from her and it went right to me. Without thinking, I wound up and shot the puck from just inside the blue line over the goalie's head into the net. This picture gives me goosebumps every time I see it. Taken at the Gunnery game just 4 days after Mr. Allen died, this picture shows Ellie, Jill, and I celebrating my first Millbrook goal. We were on a penalty kill, and Ellie was skating the puck into Gunnery's zone when their D poked the puck away from her, and it came right to my stick. Without thinking, I took the shot and watched it go straight over the goalie's head into the net. And I lost it. I jumped up and down, screaming, grabbing Ellie in excitement, and just couldn't believe it. I knew that goal went in because of him, and I knew he was with me that day. I guess all of this to say is that graduating from Millbrook and going on to play college hockey has been a long time coming. It's not every day that a kid from little old New Hartford gets the opportunities and support Millbrook has given me. I remember in Mr. Whiting's global class, I told him that we have to beat Williston, Taft, and Berkshire in every sporting event because I was waitlisted at all 3 schools. He looked at me and goes, "Well, geez, why did we take you?" Well, Millbrook, I hope taking a chance on me was worth it, because I'm proud to be a Millbrook student, and while I feel ready and excited to move on and go to Chatham, I'm going to miss this. Thank you.